It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Fantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine indeed. We're back once again with your weekly recap of everything Star Wars and Lucasfilm, but this week with a special recorded show rather than the usual live show. I'm your host, Brian Cameron. With me as always, my co-host, Mr. Paul Naylor.
I suppose that means we've got no excuses for fluffing things up.
No, we've got a chance to edit the mistakes out, Paul.
It'll be a very short show.
Yeah. We've picked 4 topics to discuss tonight. So we're going to be talking Galaxy's Edge and what improvements we would make to the parks. The current lack of Star Wars TV shows in development, and if we were in charge, what we would develop. And if we could visit any Star Wars location, what Star Wars location would that be? And lastly, but not least, we had a little trailer drop this week as well for the Mandalorian and Grogu. So we'll be taking a look at that, sharing our thoughts, good and bad, and all that jazz, Paul.
I think we kind of jinxed that trailer because we were moaning about it on Sunday, weren't we?
We were, but then we were justified to moan about it.
We were, yeah.
It's from a place of love, isn't it? When you complain,
yes.
You don't want to be the one to raise the negative,
No.
but you do it because you want Star Wars to be the best that it can be, and to get more Star Wars, you need Star Wars to be commercially successful, not just something that you like.
Exactly.
That's a sad reality of being part of a big global conglomerate rather than George's plaything, where it didn't matter if it made money or not as long as he was happy doing what he was doing, to an extent.
He was right with his merchandising, so he was fine.
Yeah, that's very true. Should we talk first of all Galaxy's Edge, because we mentioned George Lucas there, and obviously he was hugely into the theme park experience. You've got Indiana Jones experiences at both American Disney parks. You also have Star Tours back in George's day at both parks, which continues to run. But they built the Star Wars land known as Galaxy's Edge, or Batuu as it's known within the storyline and canon.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you've been to both.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yep. So I've been to purely just the Florida one. So my thoughts will be based on the Florida one, but I understand they're pretty much similar.
I couldn't really tell you now, years later, which one was which. They were very similar. Yeah.
But there's been a lot of talk about it. We've got the new CEO coming into Disney next month, who played a big role in the development of Galaxy's Edge. We've got improvements coming in May to coincide with the release of Mandalorian and Grogu. But we've also seen the introduction of the Star Cruiser Hotel and the disappearance of the Star Cruiser Hotel, also under the incoming CEO's watch.
Yeah.
And there's a general feeling that the parks could still be improved upon. And that's what we want to discuss this evening, Paul, is do you have landmark tentpole ideas of what you would do to improve Galaxy's Edge?
I think they're already starting to make the changes that needed to be made, which is by introducing legacy characters, from the characters we grew up with, Luke, Han, Chewie, Leia, and they're starting to introduce those now into Galaxy's Edge. And it's sensible to do that, not only because I think people have been calling out for it since it opened, but also we're on the cusp of the 50th anniversary, so to get that all bedded in and working before that actually happens, that makes incredible sense to me. The changes that they will make to the Millennium Falcon ride, I understand that they're working on the actual graphics that you see when you're in the cockpit. So I take it the missions will be more original trilogy sort of storylines. Um, Obviously, the other ride, what's the one for the New Order?
Rise of the Resistance.
Rise of the Resistance. Yeah. So the Rise of the Resistance, you, it is what it is. It's very much set around the time of the Last Jedi. Um, it's a great ride. I mean, I may not be a fan of that film, but that is such a brilliantly immersive ride. It's so cool. So that's why they've had no choice but to sort of have the two sort of lands going on, if you like. Um, I think if they'd hadn't got that ride, or if it could have been retrofit to be original trilogy, I think they would have gone wholesale on the original trilogy. But it would be they can't do it. Um, so anything and everything around the Falcon. So I take it that includes Ogre's Cantina. I believe Ogre's Cantina is having
Yeah,
an
it's getting a
update.
refit as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to look something more akin to what we had in A New Hope.
No droids.
And I think that's the right thing to do. I do. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's the parents and people of our age that spend the money to go to these parks, and they're going to have a fondness for the original stuff.
So what you're saying is Oga's Cantina should, as well as banning droids, should ban children.
Well, it should do with alcohol in there anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But no, I've enjoyed both parks. They're both very similar. And not forgetting as well, also over at Euro Disney, you've also got the Indiana Jones ride and Star Tours. In fact, the Indiana Jones ride in Paris is the one that damaged my back because I don't know if it does the same now, but it goes forwards and then you get the whole ride backwards. Now, when you're going backwards, obviously you can't predict what's happening. You can't see where you're going. And I absolutely nailed my back on there. Oh, it was so. Oh, I don't think it's ever been right since. But it's a great ride. But yeah, I think it's a positive step that they've already made. Now, what I would do, I'd probably go a bit further. I'd like to see the merchandise really, really sort of 80 to 90% of it being from the original trilogy. I think that again, they're probably going that way a bit anyway. Um, but I just think that it's the parents that got the big bucks, and they're the ones that remember the original films from the 70s and the 80s with such fondness that they're more likely to sell trinkets from that era than they are from the prequels or certainly the sequels.
Yeah. I think I agree. If you weren't going to go fully immersive, which is kind of what the original thinking, they stole the whole idea from secret cinema here in the UK. There's no doubt about it. But they failed at the whole immersive thing dramatically.
Yeah.
So you just abandon it. You don't need to make it immersive. You just need to make the characters be the characters. Like Mickey Mouse is Mickey Mouse. You don't see Mickey Mouse smoking a cigarette and knocking back a six-pack sitting on a bench somewhere in the park, 'cause that's not what you expect Mickey Mouse to be doing. So, Mickey Mouse plays Mickey Mouse. So let Darth Vader be Darth Vader. Let Kylo Ren be Kylo Ren. And you know what? With a bit of organisation, they don't bump into each other because other characters don't bump into each other in the parks that shouldn't. And so you don't need to be immersive. And because you don't need to then be immersive, you don't have to worry about the whole canon thing. And just let the park ebb and flow with. Get Ahsoka on there and the characters from Ahsoka when Ahsoka's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving with what's happening in Star Wars at the time. Have Darth Maul out there because Darth Maul cartoon's coming on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
And make everything connect. And that's how you promote your product. But
it would be so easy to do, wouldn't it? I mean, all you've got to do is you've got to know what's coming up when it's being released and work to it. That's how, like you say, that's how you promote those programs, because at the end of the day, it's in their interest to promote their own, their own product. But also it's going to help for receipts for the park as well.
Yeah. Rise of the Resistance, I only did once, and I thought it was fine. Sorry? It was good. Rise of the
France.
Resistance.
Oh,
And I
that
thought,
one, Rise of Resistance.
It was fine. It was fine. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Not my favourite era, but it was fine. It was a good ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Falcon, I was the engineer on one of the trips round. That sucked. If you're not the pilot, the ride sucks.
I'm trying to think what I was. I think I was the pilot. I think it was me and Big Kev. I think.
And it's just a poor man's Daley Thompson's decathlon if you're the engineer. You've got no idea what you're doing or why you're doing it. You're just thumping buttons. So that needs improved, and I think that's part of the improvements coming in May. So I think they're addressing two things, which is the characters, improving them, stripping back the immersive element of it a little bit again, which I think's right. Improve the Falcon, I think's right. It needs a third ride. And my suggestion, and I think it's easy one to do, I really like the Cars ride. It's very basic racetrack kind of idea. Steal that idea, drop it in the Galaxy's Edge, make it pod racers.
Yeah.
Simple.
I haven't seen the Cars ride. Is it sort of more geared up to adults and tiny kids?
It's like even in Disney. They pretend it's for kids, but it's really for the adults. I think it was in California that I did the Cars ride. We did it a few times, actually, when we were out there for Celebration. And I thought it was great. Really good fun. And I just thought it's so easy to take that idea, drop it in a Star Wars galaxy, race some pod racers. And it doesn't need to be AI, it doesn't need to be virtual reality, it doesn't need to be all these things that any new ride has to have all this new tech. It doesn't, just old school it.
Well, let's not forget the other issue, and it's not an issue, but you could call it an issue because it's not in Star Wars land, is Star Tours is so detached from everything else.
Yeah, I still think it's actually the best ride out of them all. That's
exactly what I was just going to say. Yeah, and thankfully they keep re-updating it as well. So you get new missions and planets to go to, and that's such good fun because you get to share it with your mates.
Yeah.
We've been there when shouldn't say they should have. Well, we've been there when they've let us go on it on again and again and again because they knew who we were, and we were all hoping to get Hoth or whatever, and it was brilliant, and it's such a laugh when you're the one that's the spy or whatever. I think were you a spy
in Japan?
In Japan, that was it.
They made the disgusting allegation that I would do anything to upset my Emperor Palpatine.
My Emperor. But yeah, Star Tours really, that's disjointed away from the land, and I've never had an issue with that.
No.
So really, you could argue that Star Wars Land as a project, would you say it's failed? I don't know whether I'd say it was failed, but I would almost say it's unnecessary to have it all in one land. You can dot the right.
I kind of agree. I think it's nice to have the whole environment around about the attractions to be themed.
Yeah,
but I don't think you necessarily need to confine it to the land. I know there's been talk in the past about adding something Star Wars to Animal Kingdom, for example. I think you can do things like that.
You've got Star Wars Land, and it does. What I mean is, it doesn't need to alter from what it is, and you could still put a Star Wars ride somewhere else, like you say, Animal Kingdom or wherever. People are still going to go to it.
What about the Star Wars Hotel?
What as in the one that didn't work?
Yes. Would you resurrect the idea of a Star Wars themed hotel and just make it a hotel and not make it an immersive experience and not make it an attraction, just a Star Wars skinned hotel?
To some people it's going to sound like sour grapes, but it genuinely isn't. When I saw it, even if it hadn't have been such a ridiculous price point, which was really the final nail for me, there was no way was I going to do it at those prices. But for me, it didn't feel like Star Wars. It felt like Jason of Star Command or Starfleet or something.
It felt
just
very generic sci-fi.
Yeah, very generic. That's exactly the word, generic. And so because of that, and that's because they were trying too hard, but they were trying too hard with people writing the script and the narrative that really didn't understand the product. So yeah, getting totally away from the immersive side of it, it would work. Just make it look like it's, what you would expect a hotel to be like on Coruscant or wherever. Um, and make it accessible to more people. Make it affordable.
It has to be
Disney,
family priced.
yeah,
Anything Star Wars to me has to be family priced. And granted, it's not always going to be accessible to everybody. Everyone's got their own levels of which they can afford to spend on a hobby or so on. So nothing is accessible to everyone. But if it's
no,
within someone's aspirations,
if it's something that people can actually say, right, we're going to do this and we're going to save up and do it.
yeah, and
There's
justify
a lot
it.
of people that have to do that for the parks,
Yeah.
so they would do that for the hotel.
And people would have done that for the hotel, but in the same way, a lot of people would have said that I cannot justify spending $5,000 for 2 nights.
No, there was no value for money associated with how it was operated. Definitely not. So not only was there the value for money issue, but for me, it just felt generic. And so because of that, I was never going to want to go to it. I was never envious of anybody that did go to it. But we both know people that have been and they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And fair play to them. As long as they enjoyed it, great. But I got this horrible feeling that had I have gone to it, if I'd have sort of gone, oh come on, then we'll do it. Because there was a room, I think it was rooms of 4, so it'd cost you basically 1,500 quid each, wouldn't it?
Yeah, something like
More
that.
or less, plus your spends on top. So you're probably looking at a £3,000 trip with your flights and everything. I would probably come away from it thinking I've just wasted £3,000. I could have gone on some decent holidays to Spain or whatever for that. So I think that's how I would have viewed that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could never bring myself to even consider doing it because I was so disgusted at the price points
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
just my instant reaction was, this is horrendous. And I
Elitist.
honestly think, and I say this about Disney Plus as well, when you go back to the origins of the streaming services and they're talking about replacing your $40, $50 over-the-top subscription service with a $7.99 service, and look at the money you're going to save.
Yeah.
As an accountant, I can tell you the math doesn't work out or stack up. You don't need to be an accountant to figure out that the math doesn't stack up. And this is why it's struggled. 1, to make a profit, and 2, it's now struggling to justify making content. At the same time, they've somehow managed to get themselves in a situation where it now costs more to make an 8-episode TV series than it did to make a 22-episode TV series.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the poison pill of streaming, and this is why you're slowly going to see them form packages. And we saw this quite recently in the UK, where Sky, one of the overtop satellite providers, is now teamed up with Disney, and you're going to get Disney Plus, you're going to get HBO Max, you're also going to get Netflix, all bundled in a £25 package alongside your Sky subscription. So effectively you're paying £5 more to get £21 worth of streaming services on top. Now, those streaming services must be getting a tiny cut from Sky. So they're getting even less per subscriber, but this is the way it's going to have to go to make it work. And doing that means you're going to have to get cheaper TV shows, so the production values are going to be much lower.
Yeah.
And a lot less TV shows.
Well, we're already experiencing that, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which brings us perfectly on to our next topic.
Exactly.
Which is,
the
current lack of Star Wars TV in development, as is publicly known. There could be more in development we don't know about. And basically the query to you, Paul, is if you could develop something, what would you develop? So the 2 questions there. What's your feelings on the current state of Star Wars TV development? And 2, what would you develop?
Well, I'm similar to you in as much that we both like the live action stuff rather than animated. I've never been a big follower of the animated stuff,
Yeah.
although I am keen to see more. Um, so if we look at it purely as TV at the moment, I suppose the big ones are Maul and Ahsoka season two.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, like you just said, there may be things that they're working on that they've not revealed yet. As far as we know, there is nothing else coming out for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So, on that basis, I really, really would love to see Alden Ehrenreich back as Han Solo. So either as a Han Solo TV series or as a second fiddle to a Lando in a Lando TV series. But I just think that Solo had a real tough time uh, off the back of The Last Jedi, basically. I think all the things that they assumed were wrong with it, the head honchos at Lucasfilm, they were saying, "Oh yeah, we get it, we get it. Nobody else can be Han Solo than Harrison Ford." That wasn't the problem. That wasn't the problem at all. The problem was there was a lot of negativity around Star Wars at the time, and it had got such a seemingly tiny marketing budget that a lot of people didn't even know it was coming out. And people, the general public, got very confused around the time of the first five films that got released. So you started off with The Force Awakens, and then you get Rogue One, and you get people in the street going, "Well, is Rey in this one?" And you're having to sort of explain to them because they're not
Yeah.
as knowledgeable about fandom as we are. So it gets confusing for them, and I think that to a certain extent what happened with the Solo film. Um, so that's what I would want. I'd certainly want that as a TV series, and I'd also like to see. And I know this is slightly controversial because a lot of people really don't like it. I think that the whole point of the Boba Fett TV series was to show a different side to the character following his escape from the Sarlacc pit, and that if you watch it again, right at the very end of it, he says, "This isn't what I want to be doing. I'm not. I don't want to be the daimyo or whatever they called it. I want to go back to doing what I used to do." So maybe if
Murdering
they'd have
people for money.
condensed, yeah, if they'd have condensed all that stuff into maybe the first three episodes and then shown Boba Fett as people would have expected to see him, I think we'd have had a second season by now.
Yeah.
Similar to what we were discussing last week about the Acolyte, how they teased things without going anywhere with it, and they've been the victim of their own teasing rather than just giving people what they want and expect.
Yeah. We've all been there on a Monday morning at work thinking, "Oh, I don't want to be here. I'd rather be out killing for cash." Uh, you know.
What about yourself, Bri? What would you like to see come out?
I have thoughts.
Go on.
So, the Old Republic probably makes more sense as TV than it does, as movies than it does TV. I think
Yeah.
the scale of that could be cinematic gorgeousness.
Yeah.
So I'd maybe park that for movies. But I would go back to the Acolyte time frame. Strangely
Right.
enough, I wasn't a fan of the Acolyte, but I would jump forward 25 years. Have Plagueis be the big bad.
Yeah.
Have a young Yoda be the forefront of the goodness, so to speak. Get to the point where they're introducing a young Plagueis.
Yeah.
And a young Plagueis, sorry, a young Palpatine.
Right.
Maybe have that series jump forward a number of years between series. So you get to the point where you're getting him as a young senator on Naboo.
Yeah.
And really tell that whole story between the Acolyte and the prequels over like a 4 or 5 year or four or five series TV show. But
So do
time
something
jump,
similar
time
to
jump
Yeah.
dramatically between each series.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't leave the Acolyte dangling because you've carried on in some sorts. And you know what? You can go back and fill in the gaps for the characters that people did enjoy in comics and in books. So it satisfies everybody.
Yeah. So would you include the stranger? Was it Cumir?
No, kill him off. So don't have him come back in the Plagueis series. And that's what I mean by having proper time jumps between series. Have consequential events happen between series.
Yeah.
So characters completely disappear and you don't really know why. You'll find out in the comics and the books. You don't need to know that he's no longer there because the story's about Plagueis now. And you carry on with Plagueis for a period, then it becomes a story about Palpatine. And Plagueis is gone. And you carry it on and you to the point you're at Naboo. And I just think it would be much more interesting story to tell. And so it's a different type of storytelling because it doesn't have to be high-octane action. It's much more a political... Think of The West Wing, but Star Wars. And the whole... Because, it's supposed to be a story of good versus evil. And the Jedi are always out there killing people. Yeah. The Sith aren't. The Sith tend to keep low-profile political manipulation kind of going on there. So make it a much smarter TV series. Make it like The West Wing. Make it very political, and this is what Plagueis and Palpatine were up to, and this is the games they played and the consequences that it had, the ramifications. A very different kind of Star Wars.
Yeah. They could call it the House of Talon Cards.
Yeah, something like that. So that's good. I like that. That kind of makes something very different. And you know what? If you do that, it can be very low budget. Because it can, much like The West Wing, once you've built the set of the White House, you're using it every week.
Well, it just becomes very character-driven, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what people want anyway.
You can invent something Star Wars-esque where... I go back, I mentioned Stargate a lot, and I'm going to mention it a lot over the next year because it's coming back. But I've visited the Stargate set a lot, and what they could do with so very few stages and so very few sets, just by turning those sets around, was phenomenal. It was amazing to see. And this is why we need to get back to this smart TV making where TV series aren't costing $200 million to make. You're back in the 50, 60 million budget. And then you don't need huge TV audiences. You just need, that had a good audience. We can make more. Yeah. And so you can actually work on the plan of this is going to run for 4 or 5 seasons. Because at the moment, you can't. You've got to release a series, wait until the series is over, look at the analytics, and then decide, we're going to make a season 2. And okay, we will, but it's not going to be out for another 2 years. So there's a 3-year gap between series. So there's no energy. The energy is gone. I go back to, again, Stargate was doing 22 episodes a season. There was very little, they were churning out episodes in 3 weeks. Yeah. They were airing, and, they only had 4 episodes in the can, and they were making the 5th one. That's how quick it was, and that's the way we need to get back to making TV. And it doesn't have to look cheap on screen, because you just avoid the space fights, and all the things that take up huge sums of money.
Well, you've seen all sorts of things over the years. I remember you saying about the cobbled roads on one of the productions you were working on. Yeah. It was basically a carpet.
Yeah, it was just a full mat.
Yeah.
Just a full mat. But if they'd filmed round the corner, there was cobbles there. Idiots. Anyway. But there needs to just be more thought into what we're doing and how we're doing it, and how can we make something that reutilizes the same sets over and over and over again. And with intelligence, you could, like the White House set was used on many films and many TV shows because it's a common setting. In Star Wars, you can have common settings. So you can build a stage and it could appear in maybe 2 or 3 different TV shows. And everything becomes a little bit economies of scale. Yeah. So that's my whole Plagueis Palpatine idea. I also think TV's the right place to bring back Han, Luke, and Leia. And I would, and we've talked about it a lot over the years, as Heir to the Empire being the kind of ideal kind of storyline to bring them in. And we've already introduced Thrawn. Ahsoka's in that timeline as well. That's a perfect set to bring in Han, Luke, and Leia. And I think initially doing it on TV makes it slightly more acceptable to more people than trying to make a movie with them.
Yeah. If you're having to recast it, which they would do, then yes, then you start it on TV, and you build up the momentum for it, and then eventually it'll probably sort of move over to film.
Having said that, you have to bring them in a series. It's difficult, I think, to keep all three characters in the same show, because they're out now, all three very different characters that probably, how much do their lives intertwine so much anymore. If Leia's the very political, Han's the sort of swashbuckling kind of hero, and Luke's the Jedi. It probably becomes difficult to keep them all. But you introduce them, and then you maybe let them venture off into their own adventure. So
I think you let them meet up once in a while. Their paths will cross.
Yes, but you can have a Luke show, a Han show, a Leia show, and maybe they only run 1-2 seasons. But it can work. And I think the appeal of the original characters is still there.
Very much so,
I think you have to keep Rey in the movies because you're committed. I have nothing against the actress or the character, really. I just think she had a bad trilogy. But people love that character, so let's bring her forward. Let's use the character and give her a clear story. Not one director does one film, another director does another film, and may the stories not connect. Write a trilogy, and then bring people in to make the trilogy, but have a clear story and a clear path of where she's going. And I would actually have her become the baddie, and have a child of Palpatine, a clone child of Palpatine, become the goodie. Switch it.
Switch it. Yeah, I like that.
And Rogue Squadron to me is a no-brainer for a TV show. It's calling out to be a TV show.
Yeah, and that doesn't. I mean, it'll have some sort of a thread running throughout the whole season, but it could easily become like very sort of like one episode. That's that storyline. Yeah. But with the thread running behind it. So, yeah, I agree with you on all of that.
But the danger for me becomes, it looks like we're only going to get one show a year. And if you do that, you can't have multiple shows, because you can't. If one show does well, you can't give it a second season if it's only going to have one year, one show. That's problematic.
I suppose what you could have is you could effectively end up in a situation where you've got three successful series, and you crop rotation. You keep switching them around over 3-year periods. You could do that.
Yeah.
And what I would like to see is, I think I was talking about this in our previous show, or I was talking about it with somebody else. Back in the day, when you had 3 years between Star Wars projects, between Star Wars Empire and Jedi, and certainly also with the prequels, there was plenty of time then to market those films properly and do the merchandise the way it needs to be done. These days, the turnaround is so quick from one project to the next, to the next, to the next. There is no, there's no collectability for fandom on these projects, because you'll get the same character rehashed 5 times, and then 2 or 3 sort of next layer sort of characters, and then that's it. You're never going to get your FX7s. You're never going to get second droid from the left that trundled in. You're never going to get any of that. So they would almost benefit from spreading things out. Maybe that's what the thinking is. Who knows?
Yeah. I definitely think Star Wars needs a clear direction of what are we trying to tell with the Star Wars storyline, and let's coordinate things a little bit better than we are. And it's right, if with a coordinated storyline and clear guardrails, the gap between series can be filled with a comic book series.
Yeah.
So, okay, like we had this character in season 1, And we know where we're going to take that character in season 2. So it's very safe to tell his backstory. And we'll tell his backstory in a comic because it's not going to impact on anything we're going to address.
But really promote
series.
it as well.
Yeah.
So at the end of the series, or while it's being aired, say, to pick up on the further adventures and to find out why this happens and why that happens, you're only going to find it out in this series of books, this series of comics. You know, you've got to promote it though, because people just don't know this. They don't realise that some of the best Star Wars is literature. I'm sure you'd agree with that.
At times. There's a lot of rubbish, but as much as a lot of rubbish, there's a lot of good as well. Yeah. There's some talent there, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I think the one thing that you said as well was if you're smart with your locations, you can reuse, repurpose. Think of working on 2 sides of a sheet of A4 rather than just one. It's that kind of mentality. And really, I suppose that was our next subject that we were going to talk about was locations.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So, are there any locations that you would like to go and see that you haven't yet seen? You know, you might have a trip booked. I don't know.
Well, it's funny you should say that. This past weekend was the fan convention in Finse in Norway. Which I've done before a couple of times and I plan to do again. Phenomenal location to visit, absolutely phenomenal. The storied history, everything, being able to stay in the cast and crew hotel to the location being right on your doorstep, it's otherworldly. Highly recommend it. But the one place, and it is like the mecca for Star Wars, I think, that I have not been is Tunisia, to Tatooine. And I had planned to go in 2020, and the world said that I could not leave my country and go anywhere.
I remember that.
Yeah, long time ago, sad days.
Yeah.
Let's not think back on those days because that's bad times. But this year I have booked and I'm going to be going, and I'm taking some people with me.
I'm coming. Yay!
Yeah, Paul's coming. Finally going to visit the sets of Star Wars that still exist, and certainly the locations, because they still exist, of Tatooine all across Tunisia.
Yeah, and I think we're even going to Tatooine.
Will be, yeah. Which was also in the X-Files, which was another show that I absolutely loved. The first X-Files movie has a set actually located in Tatooine.
Fantastic. Was that done on purpose?
Absolutely, yeah, because it shows you the sign Tatooine.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm really excited about this trip. I mean, the fact that by the time we're out there, 50 years ago, they would have finished wrapping those scenes.
Yep, so it'll be next month will actually be the 50th anniversary of the shoot.
Yeah. So to be there in that 50th anniversary year for the shoot, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. It just feels such a privilege to be doing this. But I mean, if you were going to ask anybody, name a Star Wars location, a lot of people would say Tunisia. A lot of people would know that the Tatooine scenes for the first Star Wars film were filmed out there. And just having a look earlier today on YouTube at some of the hotels that we're staying at, it just makes you smile, because it's just basically, I mean, that's immersive Star Wars. Forget your Star Wars hotel at Galaxy's Edge. This is the real immersive hotel. This is what people want. That's what they should build. Just copy that, stick it over.
Lots of people do this, and they'd go on tours. So there's lots of tour organisers, some highly rated and recommended. We're actually going to do this old school style ourselves. So we're booking all the hotels ourselves. We're booking the cars, vehicles. We're doing everything ourselves. We're going to write about it. We're going to photograph it. We're going to video it. We're going to speak about it in podcasts and videos. So if you want a copy of what we do, you'll be able to do it, and you'll know exactly where to go, the coordinates, maps. We'll share it all, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a group of 10 plus going out there.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be real good. People coming from all over different parts of the world as well to come together, which is another great thing about,
Yeah, I think
all
that's what's
this.
going to make it a lot of fun. It's
Yeah,
a lot of people, we've all got the same Star Wars interests. Some of us know each other very well, some of us don't. We're going
yeah,
to get to know each other really well out there. We're
yeah,
going to have a great time.
yeah. I'm not going to name anybody outside of Fanta that's going, but there's people that I've met in the past very briefly and been out for a meal with, and they're going to be going on the trip. So it'd be great to catch up with them again and become more familiar with them, you know.
We're going to be
So
staying in Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's house.
yeah, we're having a barbecue, aren't we?
Yeah. We're going to stay in Anakin's quarters, because you can't call them his slave houses. What was
No,
slave quarters? Can't call them that anymore.
that'll be wizard.
We're going to visit Darth Maul's landing area, and he's landed in his
Yeah,
spaceship. We're going to visit where R2 hid in the rocks. Going to visit Obi-Wan's house. Mos
fantastic.
Espa. You
It's
name
going to
it.
be so cool.
We're going to be
So
all over
cool.
the countries. Hit as many locations as we can. And some Indiana Jones locations as well.
Is it the bit from the Last Crusade? Is it the entrance to the?
To the wells.
Is it
Yeah.
right? Brilliant.
I'm sure it is. I
Oh,
think it is.
I didn't know that until you said it then, so that's great. But yeah, this is going to be the trip of a lifetime. I think many of us over in the UK are still concerned about traveling to the States for Star Wars Celebration, and some are questioning whether it's actually going to be practical or even even if they want to do it or not.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's more a
so
moral question for a lot of people at this point in time.
moral dilemma for some, yeah. So for me, I mean, doing this will be if nothing else happens that is 50th anniversary related, this will already be the icing on the cake anyway. So a Star Wars Celebration will play very much a second fiddle to this, depending on who they have there, of course. But, but yeah, no, I can't wait for this. I was showing the hotels to my wife and my father-in-law, and they were laughing.
Yeah, it's a really easy one to sell to friends and family that you're
Yeah,
leaving behind this one, because just look at the
yeah.
places we're going to be staying in.
Just go, just go.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
But no, that's all part and parcel of it. They don't get it. That's fine.
But yeah,
So
it's going to be
yeah,
an adventure.
yeah. And you've mentioned before that some of the other locations that you'd like to see are in Spain.
Yeah, I want to see some of the Andor locations.
Hmm.
I want to see the bench where my good Imperial friend sadly passed away. Um, I quite like to go and do the Naboo locations in Italy
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well. Um, I missed out on the opportunity because I know Mark Newbold and Matt Booker from Fat Tracks did it. They went out to the Sail Barge locations in California.
right.
Missed
Yes,
out
they
on
did.
that.
Yes.
They did some of the Boba Fett scenes as well. When he
Yeah.
came back, would have been that would have been in for the Mandalorian.
Yes.
Um, I'd like to do the Redwood Forests,
Yeah.
kill an Ewok or two,
You got your kicking boots ready.
kicking boots ready. Yeah, there's a lot on the list. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I really enjoyed doing some of the locations in the UK. Some of them very accessible, some of them much harder.
Have you been to Puzzlewood?
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
went to
I'd love to do
Puzzlewood
that.
before the film came out.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
did Skellig Michael,
I
which I
know, I'd love
highly
to do that.
recommend.
Yeah.
Right, but it's a tough location to get to.
Yeah.
It's easier now than it was when we went, because when we went, it wasn't geared up for tourists. It would be fair
Mm.
to say. Um,
Didn't you have quite bad weather as well when you
we
went?
had horrendous weather
Yeah. Yeah.
when we went, and we were very lucky that the heavens cleared up. to let us on just for we got about 80 minutes on the island, I think, before we had to go.
Yeah. Wow.
But back then, you kind of had to jump from the jetty onto the boat.
Yeah.
And if you missed, you were taking a seriously high drop.
Oh, that'd be me.
And we were on like a tiny little boat with a life jacket on. It was freezing cold and rain. We were rocking up in trainers and shorts and a t-shirt, Everybody else was there in hiking gear.
Well prepared.
Yeah.
Who was it that took their action figures onto the island? Was that you? Or was
that was Matt. That was Matt.
It, yeah.
And I was very, very sick. Don't have the full breakfast before you head out on the boat.
It's a lovely breakfast.
It's lovely. A full Irish breakfast is absolutely lovely. It's not so lovely throwing it up on where Luke throws his lightsaber.
White pudding's good going in, but not coming out. Yeah.
But yeah, it was really strange because we were there before the film came out. Before we'd seen anything, all we'd seen was production photos. So you were taking wild guesses.
Yeah.
Ironically, The Last Jedi probably covered more of the island than The Force Awakens did. So
yes. Yeah.
When we went to see the island, we saw the different locations, the huts and so on, which are beautiful. It's incredible that they've survived all these years.
Yeah.
And then The Force Awakens came out and they didn't have any of that in it. And you're like, oh. But then they did in The Last Jedi. The staircase up, when you look back at the photos that you took, I'm like now thinking, what an absolute idiot climbing that staircase in that weather.
Where's the handrail?
Because, it was very much built by Imperials. Because a gust of wind and you were off the side of that cliff, you were finished.
Imperial supervisors. Sympathizers, rather.
Yeah, but when they call it the end of the world, the island, they call it, that's kind of its tagline. And that's why the monks went out there to be closer to God. And you can totally understand the thinking behind it. Because
self-flagellation.
It is so far removed from civilization, would be the way to describe it. It's quite incredible.
Yeah. So, is it somewhere that's still popular today? Is there a lot of people still going out there because of the Star Wars?
I believe so. Connection? I think it's a lot more organised. Now they have a little museum there now. They've got organised boat trips. Ones that circle the island, ones that land.
Yeah. For
those that want to go onto the island. It's always weather dependent. So if you go, don't factor it to go there for one day. You're going to have to give yourself 2-3 days just in case.
Yeah.
My recommendation is do some of the other Star Wars locations on the West Atlantic Way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And flip your plan around, weather dependent, for what day you get to Skellig. Yeah. I know people have come all the way from America that didn't get to the island.
Ouch. Yeah.
It's... But very much a lot more organised. I don't know how busy it is. I would like to think it still is. When we were there, it was actually a lot of very spiritual and religious people that were doing the trip as well. Obviously because of the island's heritage, and it means a lot to people of certain faiths.
Were they okay about the Star Wars connection and the fans, or?
At the point that we went, because it was before the film came out, they were a little bit puzzled. I would be fair to say. Had no comprehension of what was about to hit them, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to Finser, which you mentioned a bit ago, I'm guessing that you're probably looking at going there in 2029.
That's the plan.
Count me in. No, I really fancy that one. So that'd be good. That'd be cool.
Definitely.
And then maybe wait till 2032 to go and do the Redwoods.
That's a good idea.
There you go. We'll do
that. Somewhere that may throw up new locations to visit. We've been talking a lot about. We talked a lot about last week. The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Seamless.
We vented our frustrations at the Super Bowl. Call it an advert.
Shocking. Yeah.
Dropped the trailer this week, the full trailer, which, if they'd had a placard at the end of the Super Bowl ad that said, trailer drops on February whatever, it would have made all the difference in the world. But they didn't. But we've got a trailer now, so let's not whinge too much. Instead, let's watch the trailer.
Okay.
Hey, never touch the buttons. I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Gangsters, war criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for? Let's save the rest for after dinner.
I'm waiting for your thoughts.
Well, weirdly, I quite enjoyed watching it then. But no.
It actually gets better the more you watch it.
I think it does, yeah. I still find it mostly underwhelming. It's as we've discussed before, Bright. We don't really know what direction Star Wars is going in, and this doesn't seem to. If this is just going to be a standalone movie with a beginning, a middle, and an end, then what's it leading into? It's got to have a purpose. And from everything that I've seen so far, it just looks like 2 or 3 episodes of The Mandalorian stapled together to put on the big screen. And we've all seen episodes of, well, not we've all, but certainly I've seen episodes of Mandalorian on the big screen at Celebration. They put the episode up where IG-11 had become a vehicle for Grogu, and we had that on the big screen, and it works. It does work on the big screen, but it's still TV, and I think that this is going to feel the same. I think we'll be sat in the cinema thinking, I could be watching this at home. And that also is going to be a problem for getting people to go out to cinemas, is that a lot of people say, well, 2 or 3 months' time, I'll be able to watch this at home on Disney Plus anyway, so why bother?
That's my concern, because I want this to be a success, because if it's a success, we get more, not just more Mandalorian, but we get more Star Wars content.
Yeah, absolutely.
My concern is I don't know from that trailer what attracts the average cinema goer to get off their bottom and go out there and watch it. We've introduced a swear jar at work this week, so I'm watching my language.
Are you bankrupt yet?
No, I've put a fiver in to kick it off. It's not a bad trailer. I think it gets better the more you watch it. It's got the horrible, irritating, cutesy moments.
Were you the same as me? Did you watch it then and think, oh, actually I'm starting to like this?
A little bit. It's not a bad trailer. If I'd felt that this was the right film at the right time and it had a real sense of purpose and we could whip up a real buzz, not just in the Star Wars community but wider, I'd be really happy with the trailer. I'm disappointed with the trailer because I don't think one, doesn't whip up a buzz in the fandom, I don't feel like, and two, it certainly doesn't the general cinema going audience. I hate the cutesy moments. They're just not for me. I'm never going to like them. When he eats that biscuit at the end, I'm hoping that the Mandalorian takes off his belt and just whacks him. That's what I was wanting. That's where my mind's at. To me, this needs a storyline. I'm really not clear what the storyline is. I think it's going to be very basic story of the week, as you say, with no consequences. I hate the fact that they call the Imperial remnants war criminals. Because let's be very clear, the rebels were the criminals. The Empire was abiding by the law.
They were the established government.
They were. So there's no war criminals there. Outrageous comments. Comment is also from a man who murders people for cash. I won't stop reiterating this point. They can't get away from the fact he's a bounty hunter. Anyone who pays him money, he will go out and kill someone random. It doesn't have to be a reason for killing them, just a sum of cash. Right? The man has no morals. Right?
I love how passionately you defend the Empire.
But it's like, if I said, right, I want to assassinate Mark Newbold, there's many a reason why, but most people would say it's unjustified. Right? I throw some money down on the counter at the Mandalorian, he's going to go and do it without asking any questions. He doesn't care what the issue is that I have with Mr. Newbold not inviting me on Making Tracks for 251 episodes.
But that's why the Werner, was his name Werner Herzog, the guy that was the client in the very early episodes of The Mandalorian, was surprised at Din Djarin's connection to Grogu and his want to know what was going to become of him. And he said, how uncharacteristic of one of your kind. And that's you're right. I mean, really, it should have been a job, and he should have moved on. The whole Grogu thing.
Could have squashed that thing in 5 seconds and be done with it.
But that story could have been done with, and we could have.
We didn't need to keep him alive to get his DNA. Squish him, keep the juice.
Well, the only reason that Grogu's carried on as long as he has is because, from a merchandising point of view, it's gone down very well.
Well, this is the thing. The justification for this film would have been if the time jumped it forward and Grogu was a teenager and you were getting something different. You give Grogu his Yoda in Attack of the Clones moment where he whips out his lightsaber and does battle or something. And I think that might actually still happen in the film. You're going to get him to speak.
I think right at the very end he'll say his first words and it'll be something like daddy or father or something like that, talking to
I also think we're going to see Luke Skywalker again because when you've got the Mandalorian talking about how he's not going to be here in 100, 200 years' time and he's still going to be around, it feels like that's him passing him off to the Jedi. If they were really clever about this, they would have Kylo Ren kill Grogu in this movie, and that's his first victim and his path to the dark side, right? And he keeps it secret, but the Mandalorian is the one that decides to hunt down Ben Solo, and that then gives you the pathway into the Hunt for Ben Solo movie.
Sorted.
All links together beautifully, and you get Grogu squished.
Yeah, I think there's a real opportunity to see Han, Leia, Chewie, 3PO, R2 as well.
I think you're going to see Luke's Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
And I think you might see a young Ben Solo.
Yeah.
Baby Ben.
Yeah. Just to, if nothing else, to link it into the sequel trilogy. So Yeah, it would be good. Be cool.
There needs to be an evolution. Something needs to push the story forward significantly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the where it needs to go.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be blown away with this film. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be a box office success. I'm concerned about how that impacts on future Star Wars. Because let's not forget, this isn't just a movie, it is a TV series becoming a movie. So if this fails in the box office, they're not going to let another Star Wars TV show develop into a movie in future years. And
it's also the legacy for the Mandalorian as a franchise within a franchise, because seasons 1 and 2 were brilliant.
Yep.
I loved the end of season 2. The whole Luke Skywalker reveal was brilliantly done.
It's one of the best 5 minutes of Star Wars on
it is
live action.
Well, it's the thing. It's the
whole build up to it.
The build up to it is very clever, but the whole Star Wars community, people our age, got genuinely moved by it.
Yeah.
And it was almost redemption for the Luke Skywalker character after he was done dirty in the sequel trilogy, in my opinion. So, to see him at the height of his powers and for him to have such a significant role in linking together Mandalorian with the OT, it was brilliant. And then season 3 came out, which was an absolute mess. Season 3 just didn't seem to know what it wanted to do. It was like, oh, well, we've got Mando and Grogu together now. What are we going to do with them?
There was some outstanding moments in season 3.
There were some really good
moments. I watched, I think it was the 7th episode, the second to last episode anyway, at Celebration. And the electricity in the room for that was phenomenal. Yes. It was like a movie. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about. So
and then the finale was such a letdown the following week.
You thought this is building up to a real good finale, and it went flat.
Yeah.
And that whole Grogu and Mando at the homestead thing, ugh. And then fading to a circle as well on the screen.
Very much the Walton family.
It didn't work on there. Now, weirdly, it did work for the Indiana Jones film, where it faded to the circle on his hat. I loved it on that. It worked for me on that. And that film should have done better as well, but that's for another time. I think we both feel pretty similar about the trailer. The more we see it, the more we like it, but probably have our reservations as to how well it's going to do at the cinema.
Yeah, I do. I will say that if they do bring Luke back, and I think they are going to, I don't want him to be an AI CGI Luke. I would prefer that they just cast someone, a good quality actor now, because if you're going to bring the story forward, you need to bring it forward with a proper actor.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree, but I think they'll go down to CGI route.
So do I.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese, randomly in there, one of George Lucas's friends. That was interesting.
Yeah. Has he done any similar work before?
Well, he's obviously worked with Jon Favreau before.
Yeah. But has he been a voiceover or acting?
I think he has provided his voice to things before. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that was a nice little touch.
My gut feeling, having watched the trailer, and I think it gets better with viewings. Yeah. I was hugely frustrated with it with my first watch, because I just thought this just does not sell this movie to a general public.
Yeah.
I'm happier with multiple viewings of it. I don't think it's changed my opinion. I just think, it's going to be a fun movie to watch at points. And I think at points it's going to frustrate. My general feeling from it, however, was it feels like this is Jon Favreau's last throw of the dice, and he's kind of indicated that in comments this week.
Yeah.
And so it feels a little bit like it's Jon Favreau throwing in some of his favourite moments.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little bit of a self-tribute in a little bit of a way to the characters that they've created.
Yeah.
And without moving the characters forward any.
Yeah. I have to say, though, trying to think where it was. Was it Anaheim? Or was it... Yeah, it would have been Anaheim, I think, where they had the Mandalorian experience, which was basically like a museum exhibit at Celebration. That was incredible. So that in itself was brilliant marketing for The Mandalorian and also the Book of Boba Fett. They need to do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
They really need to connect with the audience.
Yeah. My big concern, and I'd use these stats a lot, and people still don't listen to me, but anyway, I'll throw them out there again. 131 million households subscribed to Disney Plus. 3.5 million households watched The Mandalorian in the first week of its release.
So percentage-wise, what's that like? Less than 2%?
Minute. Right, minute. But that's a hit show on Disney Plus. That shows you what the problem is with streaming services.
Yeah.
Is no matter how many subscribers they've got, they cannot achieve high watches on their content. You can then look at it's had over 1 billion minutes watched, but when you break that down by the show runtime, you're still looking, and assuming everybody's watched it 2 or 3 times, because you do, you're still looking at only 10 to 11 million people ever having seen the show.
Yeah.
You need to get to about 100 million people at the cinema to watch it to make it a success, because you need to take the budget and times it by 2.5. We know it spent 168 million in California because it's tax credits application there. It would have spent more out with the state of California. Just look at the credits for any of the episodes. You'll see New Zealand, Canada, UK, different studios around the world getting used for different elements of the show. So you're looking at, it needs to do better than 500 million at the box office.
This is the first
to
time
break
that
even,
I've not felt
let's
the
say,
need.
to break
I've
even.
I just don't feel the need to go and see it on the first night. And now, if I'm feeling like that,
that's my problem as well, because everyone's going to have the attitude of it's going to end up in Disney Plus anyway, and that's my fear. You have to give people the reason to go out to watch it at the cinema. There has to be I need to see this, and I don't think the trailer delivered that. And I just don't know where it's going to find its audience. I hope I'm completely wrong, because the best way to get more Star Wars TV and movies is for Star Wars to be commercial successes. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be liked by me or liked by the fan base or whatever. If it's a commercial success, we'll get more. If it's loved by the fan base, like Andor, we won't necessarily get more, because Andor financially wasn't a huge success.
No. Do you think, though, that it might be one of these films whereby once it's been out for 2 or 3 days and something significant happens on the screen and word gets out, that's when it will pick up momentum?
That's what I'm hoping for. That there's no word in premieres or anything yet, but assuming there's a premiere, word gets out of something, you have to see this thing.
Yeah.
It's opening in America on a holiday weekend. If there's something revealed that, you have to go and see this film, it could do great the first weekend.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that is the case. I'm hoping that somebody's going to turn around to me and say, look, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but this is going to be a moment that you're going to want to see on the big screen. This is more significant than Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. You've got to see it on the big screen. And that's down to Mark Newbold.
Yeah. I was surprised at showing Pedro in the trailer, to be honest. I hope his helmet has been taken from him in a way, and I hope he does spend a period of the film unmasked. That would be good.
Now, I'm piecing together the bits of information we got from that trailer and the previous trailer. I'm guessing that the twins are saying to him that, you're going to pay for what you've done or whatever. I think that leads up to the battle with Rota the Hutt.
Yeah, I think they run an Ultimate Fighting Champion type tournament. And if you remember, John Favreau was Pete Beckett in Friends and fought to be the Ultimate Fighting Champion.
That was my first.
And got beaten up. I can see him using that experience in a similar storyline for The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Maybe Grogu's the one that saves him. Maybe Grogu's the one that...
Yeah.
I would like to see Grogu come out and Hulk Hogan Rota above his head, powerlift him.
That explains the little armor thing
Yeah.
on him as well, doesn't it? But yeah, no. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not excited enough to want to rush out.
It's the first time we've had a Star Wars film in, 6-7 years.
Yeah.
I should be falling over myself wanting to go and see it. I'm not.
Yeah.
I will go and see it because, it's got work to do and over the next 2-3 months. But at least we're moving in the right direction because that Super Bowl was depressing.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to watch a trailer again, and I hope just keep watching it every week until I get excited, hopefully.
Get a bit more from it. Yeah.
I actually enjoyed what we saw at Celebration in Japan much more, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think this film is going to have a lot of very good moments in it. Whether the whole film is a piece satisfies me, I don't think so, but I think there's going to be enough moments in it to make it okay.
Yeah. I agree.
Excellent.
Right.
On that bombshell, I think it's time for me to say it's a good night from me.
And it's a good night from him. Good night, everyone.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at FanthaTracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow FanthaTracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.